Sometimes, out of love, we focus on protecting instead of preparing. This comes from care, not from doing anything wrong, but it can quietly change what dogs learn about the world. I see this every single week in my work. The people who are most overprotective are often the people who care the most about their dog. That's what today's episode is about: learning, not blaming. We're going to look at this from a dog's view. Dogs don't need the world removed. They want to tell you, they have something to tell you about this. They need help learning how to live in it, how to be successful. And confidence comes from experience and resilience, recovery. Remember, protection feels loving, preparation builds resilience. So when you're rushing in, uh, and it will make a dog hesitate, or tightening the leash, when you tighten the leash at first signs of certainty, instead of speaking for the dog, instead of listening, maybe avoiding everything that might be hard, like you don't want to go buy those dogs all the time, so we just won't go that way. This doesn't help your dog. I've done this myself. I've chosen the path of not going anywhere near anybody all the time. That I see how that can work. I know that helps for the moment, and I've done this. It's a very human thing to do. I will do it my own self, never mind with dogs. But for a dog, when you want to have them be successful in life, we still have to go buy these things without reacting. And the dogs need to do these things too and be confident in the world. And overprotecting them isn't the problem. It's the learning that it creates by that avoiding, helping them avoid it all the time. It's not, they learn, and that's a problem. Talking about the legs model, learning is always the focus. Their dogs are learning even when we're not training, right? They're learning from our tone, they're learning from our body tension, they're learning from that leash pressure, they're learning from that urgency, if we have to hurry up and go and do this and that and just go this way, without ever dealing with things. It always ends in that manner, and they never get to actually get to deal with that. We create a fear loop for the dog. The dog pauses or hesitates. We become tense or worried. The leash tightens. The dog is pulled away. Situation ends. Dog feels some relief. And what the dog has learned, that there was something dangerous, instead of my human helped me learn how to feel safe with that situation, thing, whatever it is. Dogs don't understand why we're anxious. Dogs don't know what we are thinking that might happen. They just learn that there is something to be anxious about. They learn not to trust the world. And over time, that fear can grow because it's never tested safely. They don't get a chance to experience that nothing is going to happen to them, and that they will stay safe, because that's our job, to keep them safe. But they still need to be able to get that exploration and that feeling of uncertainty, and then realizing it's okay and going on. And we can help them through that. That's the recovery and the resilience to get back into life, that it's okay. So if they don't get that success, and when the dogs don't get that chance to learn that they can cope, fear becomes the lesson. They learn that fear is what it is. Effy's story, I've loved telling Effy's story. She was a great learning experience for me, and in hindsight, and learning even more constantly about what she went through and what we did that helped her, and what she needed, is great to keep sharing. When we first met her, when she first came to my garage, she was terrified, especially when we went inside the garage. There was so much. She was just like frozen and big eyes, and she was down, and she had her paws out, and she was just not moving. Um, Her mom was very protective, as I understand. She went and sat down, and the dog was kind of sitting at her legs, and just help staying near her. And that constant management, like helping her with that closeness and that holding her and protecting her, came from love. It totally comes from love. I understand. What we needed to change was that environment. What we did was slowing things down, gave her lots of space, let her choose. And some things took a long time. The tunnel took months, 3 months, I think, before I finally found a way that helped her confidently through the tunnel. And the tunnel's a great way for dogs to gain confidence. I've seen it many times, but it's something as simple as that. I had to make it really small, and I had to put a blanket through it. Like, it was things that I learned from her that worked for that kind of major fear. And it sounds silly, but the tunnel, it just helps their confidence, and confidence building is what we're trying to do and helping them explore safely. We adjusted the environment. I turned off the ceiling fan. I recognized that it was bothering her, so I turned off the ceiling fan. And in my mind, was thinking, he said it out loud, we have a deal. I'll turn that off whenever you come in. And it was always off when she came in. So that I did, she would always check the ceiling fan every time she came in. And we really learned and listened to her body language. The outcome, when we learned and what recognized, doing all those just simple changes and slowing down, giving her space, respecting her body language, and learning when she was going back, and learning, recognizing the signs when she was becoming more confident, because sometimes they were tiny, tiny signs, like just a little leaning forward. Or I have a video that I found where she actually just sat down, and I touched her and moved back, and she just gave me a little shoulder towards. It was so small and subtle. So looking for those confidence, that growth, that comes from a successful experiences, being confident and feeling safe enough to do that little bit of a challenge, and to do that, getting that opportunity. When Effie learned her signals mattered, when we started listening to that, she started doing them more. That's like watching a flower blossom. When she started showing me these signs more, and I learned how to respect them and understand them, she showed them more when she was uncomfortable, and when she was also a little more curious. And we leaned into helping her with growing her confidence, and being liking to explore, and learning that humans were not a bad thing and weren't always going to hurt her, because she had been sick and was scared of being handled. So it wasn't surprising that she didn't really want me to touch her much at first. She learned that the world wasn't attacking her, and she learned that she could move through it. She has a very fun, full life now. And this is a great conversation for many people's dogs, for all different kinds of sensitive dogs, trauma dogs, rescue dogs, adolescents dogs. As their genetics are turning on, they're noticing things. We might get more nervous when they're suddenly noticing things, but we just get to help them through it instead of getting nervous about what they're thinking or might do. They need to learn to help them past it. We need to learn. We need to practice and learn how to take them through these things. Dogs that have all these instincts, right, that come through and they grow as they change. And sometimes you don't know the dog you're getting, so you have to learn about their instincts. And maybe they like be herding dogs, or maybe they're the husky that's often just wants to go explore the world at their own pace. And Jack Russell's, there's so many different kinds of instincts to be considered, that to foster and support them through these different instincts that come up, that are important for them to be successful in life. This is in them to do, so we need to help them. So these dogs that do have fear issues, or different kinds of fears, they're often more affected because they're sensitive. So sensitive dogs are often more affected by human emotions. So overprotecting them will amplify that sensitivity. That will make that sensitivity even stronger, and they'll get more aware and more scared and more unsure the more the experiences happen, right? They're learning it gets worse, and they're learning exactly what we are teaching when we are overprotecting them. So any cowering, right? We're talking about communication, cowering when a dog is cowering versus a calm, learning and watching and think, for freezing is not obedience. Cowering is not calm. Freezing is not obedience. And silence is not comfort. A dog that freezes is not learning, they're surviving. When a quiet signal doesn't work, dogs stop offering them. That's how warning signs disappear. And we know that that's not good. We need to know how they're feeling and help them, because if they stop, if they're afraid, that is when somebody might bite, if they feel in danger. So we don't want to suppress the signs that they're showing us. We need to respect them. Listening early will prevent the escalation, catching these behaviors ahead of time, watching and helping the dog right away, helping dogs as much as possible. Just revisiting, going over the legs a bit briefly. Learning is about what the dog has been taught to expect. Environment, we need to think about how intense or overwhelming it is. Thinking about their genetics, how their sensitivities, their reactivities, the instincts, and the self, the pain, the stress, the age, the emotional state. Maybe they're tired, if they're sick. When learning is shaped by fear, even neutral environments can feel unsafe. Even a neutral environment can feel very unsafe for them. Tying it in also with the total welfare for dogs, it's not just physical safety. We're talking about emotional safety. We're talking about giving choice, predictability, and the ability to say no. Also recognizing that a dog can be physically safe and emotionally overwhelmed at the same time. It's really a challenge for them. So learning shows up. I wanted to talk a little more about the learning. Shows up clearly in everyday things, all the time, everyday life. One of the most common places I see difficulty with learning, and I want to talk about the safety, right? We have to do, there's some things we just have to do. This, one of the most common places I see it is with leashes and harnesses. So in a moment, I'm going to show you where I would start if you were with a dog that was struggling. I don't know. Let's see how well you can see me here. I have my helper, Duke, my newest member of the play pack. In a moment, I'm going to show you where a dog struggles with some of these things, like the harnesses with the leashes. Just remember that protection feels loving. Preparation builds resilience. Our calm teaches safety. Mr. Rogers is great talking about things calmly. Our urgency teaches danger. And remember that behavior is communication. Let's talk about how this looks in real life. I've got a demo here with my dog. I'm going to see how this works to do it with him. All of this shows up in those small moments during life. So I'm going to talk about, I want to talk very clearly before I start. This demonstration is for dogs who are very avoidant, right? They're avoiding, they don't like something. For dogs who back away, freeze, leave the room, or won't come near when the harness or leash comes out. As soon as that comes out, whoosh, dog showing signs, does not like it. And I want you to know, if that's your dog, nothing is wrong with them and nothing is wrong with you. It just tells us that we need to start earlier and go slower. This is not about getting the collar on today. I realize that It does have to go on sometimes, but we're for walks, for everything, it is safety. It does go on, but we're going to change that experience, but it takes time. And this is about changing the learning. When we look at this through the legs model, I always start with the learning. So dogs are learning from patterns, from routines, from our emotions, and from what ends the discomfort, that time of discomfort. They're going to learn from that, right? So every time the collar harness comes out and the dog feels pressure, urgency, or loss of control, the dog learns that this thing leads stress. It predicts stress. So our job is how to teach a new lesson that the collar, the leash, harness predict safety, not pressure. So what the first way that I recommend that you start always is to step back for a second and take a slow, visible breath. Practice, because dogs learn from our nervous system. If I am tense or worried, the dog learns that there's something to be worried about. So I slow my breathing, soften your body, remind yourself that nothing needs to happen right now. This is how I want you to start it, not when it's time to go for a walk. We're going to support their learning and support the dog's self, their emotional state in the moment. So for a very avoidant dog, a dog that is just totally, if you pull it out and the dog, here's Duke's gonna just like gone, he's out of the room. I would not even start near them. I would put the leash or collar or harness on a table or on the floor away from the animal, from the dog. I'm not going to ask the dog to approach. I'm not watching them. I'm going to just pretend I don't know anything. Then try my best to just be not doing something normal, and put a treat near it. Oh, drop a treat near the dog first. I would drop a treat, just drop the treat near the dog, put the harness down, drop a treat near the dog, and then just walk away. The collar, it exists. Something good happened, and then nothing else. I would do that a few times. You might have to start that. Everyone has a starting point where they're at now. We got to start where the dog is now. If the dog doesn't like it at all, put it out, drop a couple treats near the dog, take it away. Do that a few times a day. Just do it 2 or 3 times. Just changing the association, and I would be taking it out from somewhere different. I would probably start with taking it out from somewhere different if I can. Yeah, I think that I would try and start that way, and take it out and just put it down, give them a treat or two, and put it away again. This starts to change. It just starts to change the association with the object. This changes the learning without the overwhelmingness of the environment, because the dog knows that it exists. The dog knows that this exists. So something good happens, this exists, something good happens, and then nothing else. So just starting simply from there. That's how the beginning can be, to start changing it and once they start, I would be trying to put treats on it, maybe seeing how, if you can find a way to get it closer, or getting the dog to slowly actually get closer to it, giving them the choice for a treat each time, but you have to spread it out. It might take weeks to get the dog to go to it. I think that some dogs take a long time to find the right way to get past that challenge of that object. And I would be, if I had to make it a good thing, like, oh, what's this? And put it down. If you have another dog, practice like doing something with it and giving the other dog a treat, letting that dog, the fearful one, see it's a good thing, and just only good around it. Other time, for learning, to increase the learning. Once again, I'm going to talk about what you have to do, because I know you have to do it. But this is to try and change the association, to changing the association with the object. And another thing can be really big for dogs is that clip sound, that snap sound. I wanted to use a different word, so I picked snap. Some dogs, I know many dogs that do not like that sound. So you can practice, just even clip it and treat, and clip it a couple of times, like snap, treat. Let the dog learn that it's a good sound. Change the sound, because that's a big part for some dogs when you're putting that on. Um, you can also see if they're really afraid of it, because some dogs will just, like, as soon as it's out, they're gone. If you can get them, to be near it more, and then start with the clip and then throw a treat, give them a treat, whatever you have to do to slowly get them adjusted to the sounds, to the experience, and to the object, away from them, and helping them get some control. I'm not watching for obedience with the dogs, but we're watching is that softening, that little bit of relaxation, like, oh, maybe the ears start going a little forward, because you're going to make it, this comes out treat, this comes out treat. It's got to be changed into a good thing. This is pure learning with no pressure and no demand. Changing the pattern. That's why I said, like, even putting it somewhere different. This is changing the pattern to it. And patterns and routines are really important. So they can learn. You can still have the pattern where you have to deal with it at a time, because I think some people get very frustrated. It's not going to work today. And unfortunately, no, it's really hard to change a fear like that as humans. If you think about things that you're afraid of, it can be very hard to find a way past things that you don't like, that you're afraid of. And dogs can be the same way, especially when something has repeatedly not been a good experience. They have learned not good from it. So repeating it, just starting that way, making the object a good thing. It appears, something good happens, changing the pattern, placing it somewhere different. I even suggest to people change their wording, the wording, because they've learned that, like, we're going to go for a walk, and then all of a sudden there's this wrestle to put this thing on, and everybody's all frustrated because you want to get it done. You need to get it done. Maybe you want to do it before your puppy pees, whatever it is, where your dog is so excited, right? Like, there's all this energy and experience around it, and we want to change that. If a dog starts to come forward when you are holding something, like, I would be, good job, and I don't force it. You're not going to push it. You're not going to force it. We're going to be, finding ways find ways to slowly make that clipping sound near it, or even eventually touch it. But it's nice if you can get the dog to come to it first. Giving them choice. The more choice you can give them, the better. Put it on the ground and let the dog put treats around, and let them choose whether they're going to go to it. Only if the dog is staying near it or relaxed do I add that touch to it. We're kind of waiting, just giving that kind of 1 second, 2 second touch, and then a treat. You can start to increase it very slowly, whatever the dog can tolerate. For very avoidant dogs, like I said, this may take days, and that is normal. So really, legs really matters for dogs. It's a great way to think about it. The learning, we're teaching predictability and safety. The environment, we're keeping things quiet and non-threatening. Some dogs are more sensitive, and that's certainly not a flaw. And the self, that fear, that stress, that emotional, the past experiences change capacity every day. So we can help them with this. Recognizing we sure can. When all 4 of these legs are respected, avoidance softens. Sometimes for safety, we have to put the collar and leash on, and that work. But that work does not undo this work, as long as we don't live there. We put these other good moments in. Safety is, of course, the exception, not the training plan. Right? Safety moments should be the exception, not the training plan. Like, we have to get ready for safety and be prepared and be able to do these things. With very avoidant dogs, progress is measured in comfort, not speed. We're not asking them to be brave. We're teaching them that they are safe. If your dog is very avoidant and you're not sure where to start, you're welcome to send me a short video or to book a call, share some videos. Sometimes one small change can make everything easier. It's amazing sometimes coming up with the right thing. And we want, good things happen, and then it ends. That's what we want to help dogs with, instead of bad things happening. Um, Before I wrap up today, I just want to remind you that protection feels loving, preparation builds resilience. When we slow down, change the learning, and listen to what our dogs are telling us, confidence can grow one small step at a time. If your dog is very avoidant, fearful, or struggling with things like collars and harnesses or handling, you're not alone. And it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It simply tells us where learning needs support. If you want help understanding what your dog is communicating, or you want guidance tailored to your dog's legs and total welfare, you're welcome to book a call with me. I'd love to help you. You can find the booking link. I want to help you and your dog find more safety and ease together. The link is below. And if you found this episode helpful, please subscribe. I hope that all made sense. Sometimes it's really hard to do, to picture it exactly, with my prompt that I have here. It's hard to make sure I get everything. So sometimes I go off on different directions, but I hope that you got the general idea of how this can work, changing the association, finding creative ways to do it, making it a good experience, not being pressure, realizing you can make a huge difference in it is massive changes and support for your dog. So please have a great day, subscribe, and don't hesitate to share with anybody suffering or struggling with their dog. Have a great day.